Okay, let's talk about something we all do, but probably never think of as an art form: taking out the trash. Seriously, we're going to dive into this guide from Suita, Japan, and you'll see it's way more than just a list of rules. It's kind of like a masterpiece of organization.
You know that feeling, right? You're standing in your kitchen holding some weird piece of packaging, and you have absolutely no idea which bin it goes in. The blue one, the black one, does it need its own special trip somewhere? Yeah, it can get confusing.
Well, guess what? In Suita, Japan, you really do need a manual. And we're not just talking about some flimsy pamphlet. It's this whole incredibly thought out system. It basically turns everyone who lives there into a vital part of the city's recycling machine. So here's how we're going to tackle this. First, we'll hit the daily stuff. Then we'll get into the weirder items. After that, we'll figure out how to handle the big, bulky things. And finally, we'll look at the community side of it all, which is really what makes this whole thing tick. All right, first step, the daily grind. Let's master the basics. The stuff you're throwing out pretty much every week. Okay, so the biggest category is combustible garbage. This is the main one, picked up twice a week. And it's pretty much what you'd expect: kitchen scraps, old leather shoes, worn out clothes, that kind of thing. Even some paper goes in here. But of course, it's not that simple. This is where you see the detail. Any food waste, you have to drain it completely. No liquids. And you can't just use any old trash bag. It has to be colorless and semi-transparent. So right away, you see it's not just about getting rid of stuff. It's about preparing it the right way. Now, you'd think paper is just paper, right? Wrong. This is where it gets interesting. Because in this system, there's a huge difference between one kind of paper and another. So for the good stuff, the recyclable paper, think newspapers, magazines, cardboard. You can't just toss it in a recycling bin. Nope. You have to sort it all out by type, and then, this is key, bundle it all up neatly with string. Absolutely no loose paper. And milk cartons? Oh, they're the perfect example of how specific this gets. It's a whole process. First, you have to wash them out completely. Then, you cut them open and flatten them down. It sounds like a lot, but this one little step makes a huge difference. It keeps everything clean and saves a ton of space, which makes the whole recycling chain work so much better. All right, so that's the day-to-day stuff. Now, let's level up. It's time to get into the strange stuff, the things you don't throw out very often, but have really specific rules. So, you've got two big categories here. First is small miscellaneous garbage. Think of it as non-burnable stuff. That gets picked up twice a month. Then you have hazardous garbage, which, as the name suggests, is stuff you need to be careful with. That's only collected once a month. Let's break down that small miscellaneous category. Basically, if it doesn't burn and it's less than 60 centimeters long, it goes here. We're talking about things like a shattered coffee mug, a bent fork, or maybe a tiny broken alarm clock. Too small to be bulk, but definitely not going in the regular trash. And I love this part. The system is really built around safety. Say you're getting rid of an old kitchen knife. You can't just chuck it in the bag. You have to carefully wrap the blade in paper first. It's a really thoughtful little rule designed to protect the people who handle the trash. Okay, now for the hazardous items. This is the serious stuff. We're talking spray cans, lighters, old batteries, those long fluorescent light bulbs. Anything that could be a problem needs special handling, so it's collected completely separately to keep things safe. And for spray cans, the rule is crystal clear. In big, bold letters, basically, use them until they're empty, but do not puncture them, ever. It's a huge safety warning, and for a very good reason. All right, we've handled the small and the strange. What about the heavyweights? That old sofa or busted bookshelf. You can't exactly stuff that in a bag. Let's see how they do it. The rule here is actually pretty simple. If any part of it, the length, the width, whatever, is 60 centimeters or more, which is roughly 2 feet, then boom, it's bulk garbage. And that means it has its own set of rules. Yeah, so this is for your furniture, your rugs, big storage containers, maybe even an old bike. This stuff definitely isn't getting picked up with your regular weekly trash. Getting rid of it is a whole procedure. Step 1, you have to call a special number to schedule a pickup. You can't just drag it to the curb. Step 2, you have to stick a sign on it that clearly says it's no longer needed. And step 3, on the day they tell you, you put it out in the designated spot. It's an appointment system for your junk. But here's a really important catch. There's a list of things the city won't touch.
Big stuff like TVs, air conditioners, refrigerators, and computers. Those fall under different national laws. So for those, you actually have to contact the store you bought it from or a special disposal service. It shows you how this city-level system plugs into a much bigger national one. So, okay, we've gone through all these categories and rules. It sounds complicated, right? But what's the point of all this? Well, it all boils down to one thing: community. And this right here is the real heart of it. A huge chunk of the recycling, we're talking paper, clothes, cans, it's not even handled by the city trucks directly. It's done through group collections, which are organized by people in the neighborhood. It completely changes recycling from a lonely chore into something the whole community does together. And the guide itself really sums up the motivation behind all this. It's not just about keeping the streets clean. It's about this bigger idea, this commitment to the planet and to the people who will come after us. It's a deeply held value. So when you look at all of this, you have to ask, what can we take away from a system that's so detailed? It might look like a lot of work, but maybe it tells us something really powerful about community, about taking pride in where you live, and about what's possible when everyone agrees to work together on something. It's clearly about so much more than just garbage.